Hello, my name is Jason Carter. I am a assistant professor at the City University of Macau in Macau, China. Originally, I'm from the United States. I've been living in Asia for a little over 17 years now, and I've been here in Macau for about 2.5 years so far. As a assistant professor, I work in the Faculty of Business. The primary subjects that I teach are management and marketing, human resources management, and some research subjects as well. The biggest successes that I've had in my career have been from achieving greater research, publications, the amount of experience I've had in teaching various business related subjects, and I would say that it's more of a personal satisfaction in my career than a lucrative one. I have worked for a total of 8 years in corporate America, and I was successful enough to get with a Fortune 500 company and received a lower management promotion. And there was some, I guess you could call it corporate success, some financial success, but I personally was not satisfied. So the biggest successes I've had in my career is personal satisfaction at the end of the day, having contributed something that is a little bit more satisfying, socially beneficial, and I pretty much hope to be able to continue on that. For the next generation who's going to be following after me, especially since I deal with the next generation in my classes every day, the best thing that I can say is don't try to think of your future based on a plan for today. Everybody has to have a plan, and that's great, but plans are just a way to start. And if you think that you want to go into a particular career field, then go ahead and start that way. But don't get too concerned with the idea that you have to maintain that particular career field no matter what. Be flexible, especially when you're talking about anything that's related to business, especially in management. The key factor in being successful in management is flexibility, adaptation. You have to take whatever comes in your life and make the changes necessary. When I first started out, I was in corporate America. Did I ever think that I would become a teacher someday? Not at all. That was not on my agenda at all. But life has a way of throwing you into different directions that you're not originally prepared for. So the biggest advice that I can give you is relax and be flexible. Adapt where necessary. Keep having goals, but change those goals when you need to. And whatever you do, don't stop moving forward. It's one of the primary reasons why I've decided to study with LIGS University. It gives me further advancement to keep moving forward in my personal goals, my career goals, and I really think that too many people get caught up in sticking to one plan even when it's not successful. Just be adaptable. For LIGS, they've given me a flexibility in my study schedule. This is my second Doctor of Business Administration degree, and I pretty much already knew what I wanted to say and how what kind of data that I wanted to collect for my dissertation. It was one of those things where if you're teaching as a professor full time and then you want to study for a second degree, a doctor degree full time, you have to have some kind of flexibility to it. Because I didn't want to wait 4 or 5 years like I did with my first doctor degree. I wanted to be able to use my existing experience as well as my knowledge so that I obtain this new qualification in a more efficient manner. And LIGS University not only gave me the opportunity to afford to do this on my own salary, don't have any financial assistance there, but they also gave me the flexibility to be able to do it at my own pace, my own time, and the amount of assistance that they've provided in making that happen is one of the best reasons why I chose them over 2 other different opportunities. So what it basically gives you is a chance to study at your own pace, flexible enough to where you can do it at your own agenda, but also in that structured, universally accepted type of study frame. This is important because you want your degree to be able to be acceptable anywhere in the world, and the opportunity to study at LIGS was basically serving everything that I was looking for. The dissertation that I'm currently in the process of data collection so that I can do the analysis is carrying on somewhat of the same theme of my first dissertation: business curriculum education, specifically in revision and development efforts, as well as teaching methodologies. And in this particular DBA, I am studying a concentration in marketing. So the point behind the dissertation, the purpose behind it, is to identify Chinese mainland students' perceptions of their purchase intentions based on the brand awareness, the branding of the different tertiary institutions, higher education institutions that they can choose from. What are the factors of their perceptions that their purchase intention, their decision to enroll in a particular university, is actually based on? And it's focusing on my current employer at the City University of Macau. And considering that I would say probably almost all, there might be a couple of students from Hong Kong, but basically everybody at the university, the thousands of students that we have at the university, are all coming from mainland China. And they've grown up in Mandarin speaking and English speaking environment. So really, I'm focusing on this particular institution as an example of the different institutions around Macau and around mainland China that would be able to identify with understanding, comprehending what it is that our target customers, the students, are basing their decision to enroll on. How can we strengthen those brand elements? And what do we need to be adapting our brand strategies for to meet the customer expectation? There are several different focus factors for the data collection, but all of it's based on essentially gaining a better understanding of the perceptions of the target consumer and how we can adjust our brand strategy. When it comes to personal improvement, there are several things that I believe in, such as physical health. You have to take care of yourself, something that as I get older, I realize more and more importance. If that was something else that I could tell the next generation, is start taking care of yourself when you're younger, because when you get to be a little bit older, it becomes a bit of an issue. And personal improvement with your physical health is something that's going to help every other aspect of your life. Then when it comes to personal improvement, I don't believe in stopping your education. Always continue to educate. I don't think after I get this current DBA accomplished, I don't think I'll go for another doctoral degree. It requires a lot of commitment and sacrifice, but I'm never going to stop in my education. Whether it be training programs and certifications to improve my resume, or just some sort of development program that is going to help me be better at my job, be a better teacher. Whatever it is, personal improvement means constantly learning. When you're constantly learning, you're constantly sharing. And when you're constantly sharing, not only are you going to feel better about your contribution, but you're going to be adding to greater successes. If you do not deepen your knowledge, if you do not make your knowledge more current, up to date, more enhanced from varying different perspectives, as well as just volume of knowledge, then what kind of contribution are you making? If you're not making a significant contribution, a positive contribution, then how are you going to feel better about who you are? This is what I think personal improvement is. You want to feel better about who you are. You want to feel confident. You want to feel proud in yourself. If you have no such plans or goals in your life, then do whatever you want and be happy. There's not anybody telling you that you have to do this. If they are telling you that, then it's what they want you to do. But in reality, there's no way that you have to live to anybody else's expectations except for your own. And I don't believe that most people in the world have no personal expectations of growth in their own life. I believe everybody has these expectations, and I believe that personal growth means continuing your education, continuing your learning in some form or another, If that means going to a university, do it. If that means getting out and working in another country like I started doing, do it. Whatever you need to do, keep going. LIGS University was the decision that I made based on, number one, the affordability. I am an assistant professor, but I'm not exactly making the kind of salary that you would make in America or in Europe somewhere. The price was a major issue for me, and LIGS University is extremely affordable. So I send money whenever I have to make a payment on an invoice and do it straight out of my own salary. This was an extremely important thing. LIGS also was a choice for me because of that flexibility issue. What I did when I was originally searching for a university to study for my second doctorate degree was kind of send out a feeler message, if you will. I wanted to feel what kind of response that I would get, and there were some universities that responded to my questions, my queries, in a very templated, formatted manner, like a canned response, and to me, it just didn't feel like they actually even listened to anything that I said in my email. They didn't really answer half of the questions. LIGS took the time to actually answer my questions specifically, and they didn't give me any kind of canned responses. That alone tells me that they're willing to work with me on a one-on-one basis. I'm not your average type of bachelor or master's degree student or first-time doctorate student. I wanted to be able to make sure that I wouldn't have to do anything that was unnecessary, because I already have a pretty full schedule, and extra stuff that I would not need to cover or necessary for my goal, or maybe even be able to use my career experience and previous education to help me obtain this second degree. I just wanted to know what were my options. I just wanted to know if anybody would be willing to talk with me. It wasn't a requirement that I would be able to get an easier degree or anything like that. I just wanted to know if there was an institution out there that would actually work with me, talk to me about it, see what we could actually come up with, a good plan for me that was a little bit more personalized. And LIGS University did that expertly. I'd never have had any doubts as my decision for enrolling in LIGS. The knowledge that I obtained, while the knowledge that I took in the courses for the second DBA wasn't exactly new topics, the kind of information that I was provided with and that I was forced to find in researching the different reports that I had to format and would later get published allowed me to get more up-to-date information. Previous information I had was, basically a little bit older, going back a decade or 15 years. And that's one of the biggest things about personal improvement and continuing your education is constantly being made aware of the latest developments. This is extremely important when you're talking about a professorship, where you're dealing with the next generation of people. They're more aware of the latest ideas and technologies, processes than you probably are. So it is critical that you have to maintain the latest developments in anything that you're doing, especially education. The idea of having a flexible mode and structure of the program was extremely beneficial to me, especially because of my overloaded schedule as it is. And the biggest strength that I could say for online education is that flexibility. That's what I think is the most beneficial for on any kind of online format platform, is the ability to adjust your schedule when needed, adding more time, taking away time, whatever is necessary. Online platforms do give you that ability to be more flexible, especially if you're working professional. The biggest weakness is I can recall being in a university, traditional brick and mortar, face-to-face university, and when I was in my younger days, and you have that direct interaction with other students, you get to feed off of their energy and their motivations and their ideas. And that is a very big strength when you're talking about educating yourself in an environment where you have to work with other people, because after you graduate, that's what your job is going to be about. Every job in the world, you've got to work with other people. So, studying online kind of demands a little bit more personal motivation. I think working full time is a good opportunity to study online at the same time because you need that flexibility, and that is a motivating factor. If you're talking about being right out of high school, you're young, probably going to a brick and mortar university is not a bad idea because you do get that personal interaction. You get to develop your group working skills, your teamwork skills in a group centered environment. Otherwise, if you have that personal drive and ambition and motivation to do everything online, then you're going to be able to capitalize on that degree of flexibility in which you can get a lot more done, a lot more accomplished in a shorter amount of time. And when you're talking about working professionals, that's ideal. It's absolutely perfect. I think that's probably the biggest highlight that I can offer in terms of my own advice, my own opinion, is you want to have that ability to be flexible, utilizing everything that you've learned so far and in a way that allows you to be successful in a shorter amount of time so that you can get out there and be more productive. The biggest challenge does come from the balance of career and studying at the same time. I think that in one way I am lucky that I don't have any personal obligations. I'm not married, I don't have any children, and therefore I have more time to devote to my studies. And it's one of the primary foundational factors for me going ahead and deciding to do a second doctorate degree. Because most professionals that I've known with a doctorate, especially my colleagues, they're all married, they all have children. They don't have the time or possibly even the ability to focus on getting a second degree. So balancing your career and your studies really requires a lot of sacrifice. Like what I tell my economics students, the opportunity cost is how much do you have to sacrifice in order to obtain what you want in your life. And in this particular case, I don't have as much to sacrifice, so that is my benefit. It's not what I had originally planned for my life. I wanted to have a family, kids and all of that, but if I'm not going to have that, then I have that opportunity to study, then why not? Why not improve myself? The goal for my future is to continue in my successes as an assistant professor. A previous position that I had with a Swiss university, I was associate professor, so hopefully I can get back to an associate professorship and then eventually get up to full professor and continue to add more research publications highlighting specifically a lot of the benefits of the institution that I'm employed with, because my focus has always been, in all my research that's been published in dissertations, has always been about business curriculum and teaching revisions and development. And if I can continue on that path, regardless of where I am in the world, then I think that my career goals would definitely be enhanced. And having that educational qualifications is extremely important for that. Personal goals is hopefully to be able to just continue to be healthy and happy with the career, because it makes my personal satisfaction great. And if I have a family in the future someday, that's great. Good friends that I meet around the world, the different countries that I've lived and visited around the world. Just continue to follow the successes that I've had, the path, the direction that I'm currently on. I think being a professor is definitely the kind of job that I needed to have for my future. So I'm happy for the adaptation ability and going from a career in corporate America to professorship. As far as having a secret formula, I don't think I really have a secret formula for my success. The most beneficial thing that I have found is that the more challenges that I have faced, especially considering my childhood and the rather difficult situation that it was, is it allowed me to become a lot stronger and more confident and independent in myself, especially when you're talking about becoming an expatriate, an expat, leaving your home country to live and work in another country for extended periods of time requires a lot of sacrifice, but the benefits of doing it are going to be fantastic for your personal well-being, your personal health, confidence, pride, but more importantly, you're able to actually gain a better perspective of the world. Because every culture is different. Everybody has a difference. Their belief systems, whether or not they have a religious belief or a political belief, there's always going to be some difference between the cultures. And understanding those cultures is probably one of the best aspects of my life. There's no secret to doing that. You just have to go. You have to do it. Life is too short to sit around and think about life all the time. Get a plan and go for it. Make changes as you go. Don't let anybody tell you to stop doing whatever you're doing. You want to work in another country? Go for it. You want to study another degree? Go for it. Don't ever let anybody hold you back. First question that everybody asks me is, why are you studying a second doctorate? Why not? What is the point of sitting back and allowing somebody to say you shouldn't do something? That's what they want you to do because it benefits them in some way, somehow. The secret to my success is I've never really listened to anybody who tells me to stop or slow down or to hold back. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep going. If I would actually have to say that there's a secret to my success in adaptation to different cultures, being able to merge myself into a different lifestyle that I have not known before when I moved to a new country, is food. I don't have the ability to learn all the languages of all the countries that I've visited or lived in. I don't have the time. I've never been a big linguist anyway. But what I have discovered more successful than actually learning the language is sitting down and breaking bread with someone. Sitting down, having a dinner with them, having dinner with groups of people. You're going to be able to see a lot about the culture by the way that they eat. Who eats first? How do they eat? Do they eat individually? Do they share their foods? Do they eat in the middle? Do they eat with their fingers? Do they eat with utensils? What kind of utensils? These are all aspects of their culture that have given you very big insights in how to talk to them, how to deal with them, break bread with people, get to know them on a more personal environment, and let go of any of your fears and inhibitions. Go for it. Life is too short to be sitting around wondering if you're actually doing the right thing. Just try. You'll never know.